This is the Lama Foundation, an intentional community and retreat center nestled in the mountains of northern New Mexico. This is my spiritual home. 3 of the most transformative and influential years of my life were spent here. What follows tracks a bit of what I have learned from my experience living in community, and why I feel community is tremendously important, and as Charles Eisenstein puts it, creating the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. When I decided to settle at Lama as a resident, a few things swiftly became clear to me. I was invited to take on major responsibilities, many of which I felt I was in no way qualified for. Yet not once did my community members ask me for my credentials, my diplomas, or question the depth of my commitment. You see, contrary to the dominant story of our culture, which tells us that we have to prove our worth, Lama operates by acknowledging the inherent value of each of us and trusting in the desire we each possess to be useful, helpful, to have a purpose. This system holds that when you provide people with opportunities to contribute in meaningful ways to the world, they will rise to the occasion. In this way, community invites and challenges us to become more than what society often tells us we are. Indeed, more than what we often tell ourselves we are. Rather than the competitive model of everyone for themselves that exists as the foundational assertion of Western society, community models like those used at the Lama Foundation rest on the principle that what is good for you is good for me. Put another way, when you reach your fullest potential, you enrich the greater fabric and strength of the community, and I am impacted. Thus, the community has a vested interest in the happiness, fulfillment, and achievement of each community member, because everything we do as individuals impacts the community as a whole. In this way, Lama and communities like it exist as microcosms, reflections of the same rules and principles which apply at the macrocosmic level of human society. They reveal our interconnectedness. As an extension of this vested interest in each community member, communities often provide deeply nourishing support systems, which encourage us to boldly bear the totality of our authentic selves to the world. And this, I believe, can be a powerful form of leadership, especially at this time. I would say that one of the most radical things we can do to begin to make positive change in the world is to learn how to truly love ourselves. To be clear, I'm not advocating narcissism or some new age brand of self-centeredness. The self-love I speak to is rooted in the inherent sacredness and beauty of who we are at our core, as interconnected beings, as part of something truly wondrous. It's founded in the recognition that we carry a bit of God stuff in us, and so too does all life. So how then does this become a form of leadership? When we model this form of authenticity, we give permission, or perhaps we only highlight the possibility for others to do the same. And when we are able to shed our guises, the shielding and the many layers of cultural imposition, we touch a part of ourselves I believe we each possess. It's the part of us that wishes more than anything to offer its gifts to the world. It's the part of us that knows that we are an interwoven thread in the tapestry of life, and the world desperately needs more people who are living from this place. However, we can't do this alone. At Lama, it is often said that we are mirrors for each other. Through me, you more clearly see yourself, and through you, I more clearly see myself. It's one of life's many paradoxes that we become more fully who we are through our relationships with others. Thus, deeply authentic interactions with other human beings becomes invaluable in our development, interactions which are richly abundant in community life. For example, Lama implements a weekly meeting called Heart Club, which is modeled after the Native American practice of sacred council. During this meeting, a talking piece is passed around the circle. While the talking piece is in hand, one is invited to speak from the heart and to give voice to whatever may be alive in their experience. Every week for 3 years, I attended these meetings, and yet I found myself consistently surprised by the end of each one, surprised by how much more connected I felt to the community, but perhaps more surprised by how much more connected I felt to myself, my authentic self. Community outlets like Heart Club provide the rich, authentic, and oftentimes vulnerable interactions with other human beings so sorely missing from many of our lives. Community has proven to me that we need this level of connection in our lives. We need each other. In experiences of authentic connection like those facilitated by Heart Club, walls crumble and empathetic bridges are built between hearts. We experience our interconnectedness. This is how authenticity becomes a form of leadership, and why community becomes so essential. When I look deeply into the many dire issues and conflicts the world now faces, the roots of each is to be found in the cosmology of separation. We treat the earth as we do because we see it as separate from us, as a mass of things valued only for its utility. We treat each other as we do because you or someone else, someone other. Community life, however, affirms that this story, the story of separation, is simply not true. What's more, this story is destroying the planet and will inevitably claim humanity along with it. What we need then is to challenge the validity of this story by creating experiences and interactions in the world that simply do not fit into it. We need community. The contemporary spiritual teacher Thomas Hubl often speaks of coming from the future. I take this to mean that we place ourselves in the future we wish to create and begin to live our lives from that place, from the emerging story of interconnectedness. Perhaps this means we talk to a stranger, respond with kindness to a harm done. Perhaps it means we open our hearts to others and create space for others to do the same. Whatever it takes to break down the walls of isolation and separation, if only for a moment. Whatever it takes to be leaders in changing the story. Whatever it takes to create community. For as I've said, we need each other. Every single one of us carries a piece to this puzzle. Everyone is needed if we're going to create the more beautiful world our hearts tell us is possible. So let's join our heads, our hearts, and our hands, and together usher it in.